beef. Cam here, welcome to another live video. And in today's live video, we are going through a little bit of a topic. Will this pandemic force the industry to change? That's today's topic. That's what we're talking about. And this isn't one of those videos where, I've got all the answers and I've got, the recipe. Today is more of a discussion. Me posing a couple of questions that are going to be fairly interesting. So the topic is, will the pandemic force the industry to change? I honestly think that in this time of, extreme hardship where everyone is in a fucking panic mode, there's a shortage, there's not a shortage of food, but again, there's no food in fucking shops because they can't actually meet the demand that's there. And the majority of people in this industry are being forced out of work. You know what I mean? Not only are places closing down, the example I'll use is in the UK. Boris Johnson had basically came in and said, listen, we're not telling you to close, but we're going to tell people not to come to a restaurant or not to eat out, which ultimately means that there is no kind of financial support or backup or safety net for anyone in the industry, which is just fucking insane. So he's basically left every business within the industry out to dry. And the knock-on effect of that is that, as individuals working in the industry, people have lost their jobs. They're either on unpaid leave or they're gone. You know what I mean? They actually don't have it. They've been let go. And I think this is a real... from the top down, I don't think there's anyone to blame necessarily. I think the government, the English government that did that, that is extremely poor, and that is kind of an unforgivable thing because I think it fucked a growing industry over massively. But I think it's the individuals that are feeling this. You know what I mean? It's the people working in the industry that are really, really feeling this. And in my opinion, I think it's cause for everybody in this industry to rethink their commitment. You know what I mean? To rethink, how much have I given of myself to this career, to this job, or to this, this owner, or this business specifically that I'm working in, and now I've got no fucking income, and now I'm fucked. And I don't know what I'm going to do to pay my bills. I don't know what I'm going to do this and that. And now I'm in serious, serious trouble. And ultimately, the business owners have been left out to dry, but they have also left their employees out to dry. Some of them have been forced into that position. Some of them have made a choice to do that. You know what I mean? That's the truth. Some of them have been forced. They physically can't pay the employees. Some of them can, and they're not. And they've let them go to circumvent any kind of massive loss. I think there's a massive degree of responsibility there. I think it's very disappointing to see people who fucking give so much to their craft, who give so much to their trade, who are now on the breadline and can't fucking feed their kids. That's serious, and that's a rotting problem, honestly. And that's why I think something like this is kind of forcing us to rethink how the industry is running. As I've said before, it's like the industry has conditioned people to, chefs specifically, and even front of house staff as well. We've all been affected, but you sacrifice your physical, your mental health, you sacrifice work-life balance, family time, personal time for the business that you're working in. The restaurant, the service, the team, you sacrifice everything for that. And when the shit hits the fan, you've got no blowback. You've literally been left out to dry. And all that work that you put in and all that sacrifice goes out the fucking window. I think that's a really horrible situation. I think it's a really, really horrible situation. And I think as individuals working in the industry, we've got to start rethinking our commitment to things. Start rethinking that if you haven't been taken care of, it's like, how much have you given for those people who just fucked you over? You know what I mean? And I don't blame, I'm not here to say business owners are wankers for doing it. I really don't, because I can't make that judgment call from my position because I'm not in their position. But I did see a video yesterday. There was an Irish restaurateur and he did a video in his empty restaurant and he said, listen, leadership means making a decision when there's a million decisions to be made, but something needs to be done now. And decisions need to be made now. And we're in a time where we need leadership. And this guy was talking about, he closed his restaurant before restaurants were asked to close to save his staff and not put them at risk. He also put them on full pay. You know what I mean? Paid all his staff fully. And you could probably get away with paying your staff half, You know what I mean? Because a lot of chefs are just not being paid in general, front of house staff not being paid in general. So this guy's paying them in full for the month, and his mentality was, as I might take a massive financial hit on this, but I'll have to find a way later on. But these people in here, we have a tight knit team, and they absolutely kill themselves for my benefit, for the customer's benefit. So when the shit hits the fan, the least I can do is return the favor. And to me, that is such a fucking inspiring thing to see. And that's what we need in the industry. We need people like that running businesses. We need leaders who are actually willing to take care of people who are fucking killing themselves, who are literally killing themselves for the business. I think we need people like that. And I think in the majority of cases, that has not happened. I think so many chefs like Ian, 21 years in the trade, probably been fucked over, And it's like, that's what it's about. And all you're conditioned to do when you're working here is that you should give every hour under the sun to what you're doing. You should give up your family time, give up every bank holiday, Christmas fucking weekends, and then this is what happens to you. So I don't think employers are going to change how they do business. But I think if every individual who's been shafted can rethink their commitment, all of a sudden that might cause some kind of rift, some kind of change where you're forced to be you're contracted in a way in future. Maybe when the shit does hit the fan, you've got a backup. You know what I mean? You've got some kind of backup income-wise where they have to pay a certain amount. Or, it's not transient. It's not come and go. It's like, no, you've actually got security in what you're doing. And you've got fairness of fucking hours and pay. Like, I would hope that if there's any positive to be taken away from this pandemic, it's that we start rethinking how the industry is fucking structured and how people are employed. And there's still this complaint about a shortage of staff, even when there wasn't this shit going on, even when this wasn't happening. Yeah, when there wasn't a coronavirus, there was a shortage in the industry. 20,000 chefs leave the industry every year in the UK alone. That's not even Ireland. That's just UK. That's 10% of the entire hospitality workforce. 20,000 a year. What the fuck's happened after this? Those numbers are going to be way higher. Way, way higher. I think a time is coming where things have to change. Honestly, I think things have to change, and I think that change is going to be dictated by employees who've been fucked over, because I don't see how you could go back to being treated like that again if you've been let down right now. I don't know how you could go back to those things. So I suppose the thing to take away from this video, and that I want you to think about, is ask yourself what your current position is now that all of this has happened. Like, if we're all at home for a certain amount of time, right? And if you've been out of a job, or you've been laid off, or you're on unpaid leave, also ask yourself, these people who laid you off, like, what did you put into their business? And chances are you sacrificed a lot for them, and now here you are. You need to question that. You need to question that in future. That anywhere you step in, because if all of us can start doing this on an individual basis and just demanding more, there's plenty of money in this industry. It's growing like a motherfucker. The level of growth in the last 5 years in food and drink has been astro-fucking-nomical. Like, it's been massive as an industry, the amount of growth, new places opening up. So don't tell me that there's not money to pay the people who fucking graft for it. There is. But we have to start demanding it more as individuals, start demanding more self-respect, more time, more fucking work-life balance. That's what needs to happen. And if there's anything positive we could take away from the pandemic, is that maybe people start thinking differently about what they're putting in and what they're getting out. That's all I want to get across in this video. All right. So if you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up, chefs. I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is well. Take care of you and yours. Look after your health. Look after your mental health in this time. Meditation. Fucking having your routines nailed down. Go back and look at the posts from the last couple of days, and take some stuff from that and start applying it. Ian Daly, I think the reason chefs are leaving is due to work conditions. A job I left last year still owes me 700 in lieu hours. Could do with them now. Like, that's madness. That's like case in point. Fucking case in point. Like, do we need to actually say any more than that? 700 in lieu hours. Probably contracted for fucking 38, 40 hours, probably doing 70 to 80, To be honest, it's actually disgusting. It's disgusting that that's even accepted. If you were doing that in a fucking bank, there'd be uproar. If you were doing that in some kind of corporate entity, there'd be fucking uproar, because you're a chef and you're conditioned to be a harder worker and you've got a fucking strong mindset. That's fucking crazy. Like, I know what Ian was putting into his job. I know how much sacrifice he put in, and he was fucking like up at crack of dawn at 4 o'clock in the morning in to do a breakfast shift and then staying on the entire day, and he's not even getting fucking paid properly for it. It's disgusting, frankly, in my opinion. And I know I've been on the fence about, it's not the employer's fault. The reality is, in a lot of situations, I don't blame the pandemic on them, but I blame disgusting treatment of their staff, to be honest. That is disgraceful. So a rethink is needed. All right, I'll stop winding on because I'll get pissed off. But anyway, chefs, thank you so much for jumping on. Appreciate it. I'll catch you all soon. Stay safe.